Hello, everybody, and welcome to another story sharing episode. I've been really enjoying this series. They're easy to make, and I can do them consistently because I've got a lot of stories that I've either started, or that I've finished, or that I've put aside, or that I've forgotten about, or that I just choose not to end. Stuff like that. And there are a lot of stories that I could look at. Today, I want to look at one that was a little funny. This was a funny little project. But before I can tell you about the story, I need to tell you how it started. So there was a friend of mine on DeviantArt named Nahami, and she and I were pretty friendly with each other. She had some really good art out there, and I was writing stories, and one of the things she did for me was when I was writing The Tale of Tomiki, she drew a few very nice pictures of Tomiki for me, which turned out very nice, and we grew kind of a friendship. And then she also revealed to me that she had this character who needed a story, and I wrote a story for her character, which turned into kind of a back and forth thing where we began sharing stories with each other, sharing art with each other. It turned into this whole thing. Well, she had a picture on her channel which showed this guy looking at a pink fan glowing and looking kind of nervous. And I asked her, what's the story behind that? She said, I hadn't really come up with a story, but maybe we could brainstorm some ideas. So we started thinking of some ideas, and we came up with something very, very funny. We invented a story called Beware the Magic Fan, which initially was going to be a one-shot story. The idea was, y'all know about like shoujo manga, right? Shoujo anime, like your Sailor Moons, your Tokyo Mew Mews, your stuff like that, where you have these girls who, for whatever reason or another, go through magic girl transformations and fight crime as these overly frilly magic girls. Well, what happens if a guy comes across one of those weapons? What happens to them? Different anime have played with that question a lot, like Kore wa Zombie Desu Ka, which asked that question in a very funny way. But we decided to have some fun with this one. So what we had was, we created Beware the Magic Fan, and in this story, a young man named Marcus, who doesn't really do too well at school. He doesn't really care about his academics or anything like that. He's too concerned with the fact that his father is dead, his mother works all the time and never comes home. His sister's kind of the star of the school. Everyone likes her. She's the smart one. She's the one who's going to be valedictorian, that kind of thing. He's wandering off by himself, and he comes across this cave where he finds this fan just sitting there. When he picks it up, it has some inscription on the side, which he reads out loud, which turns him into the Fiery Gale, a magic fire-based girl who can grow the fan larger and fly on it, which he's like, this is not what I want. I want to get rid of this thing. But soon the Fiery Gale becomes a big icon in the media. Everyone's talking about this new superheroine on the news, and he's like, okay, well, I guess I can't really give it up now. I'm kind of a star now, which is what he wanted. He always wanted to be a star. He always wanted to be famous. This just isn't how he wanted to do it. So the story kind of involves him learning how to control his abilities and trying to keep anyone from finding out about this super embarrassing ability of his. But what he finds out along the way is that this fan that he found is not the only weapon of its kind. There are actually 3 others that involve different elements and are found by different people, and when brought together, they create an ultimate weapon of mass destruction, which could destroy an entire country if used in the wrong way. And they find out that there's this person out there who has learned the legend, and he wants to gather all 4 weapons together to use them as this weapon of mass destruction. Really, it's funny because Nahami and I had only planned to do this as a one-shot story. It was just going to be a one-shot thing, but people really liked the story. They thought it was really funny. The character of Marcus was incredibly great to write. We just had a ball writing some very hilarious moments and things. Like, we had this one idea that maybe to disguise himself, Marcus decides to cut that incredibly long hair that he has, but then within an hour, like, it all just grows right back anyway, and it's like, dang it. So it's one of those things that we thought was really funny. We added a few dramatic moments too, like some scary moments, like Marcus's sister getting caught up in a fight between Marcus and one of the villains who has one of the weapons. We also had some fun playing with like drama involving why Marcus's father passed away, what actually happened, like, and how his mom might have had something to do with that. We played with the idea of how scientifically the fan might work rather than just magically, and yet science can't seem to explain everything. It was a lot of fun playing with these ideas, and Nahami was such a good sport about it. She loved doing art for it. In fact, I believe she told me at one point that she loved whenever she heard from me because she knew it meant that I had a new update, or I had a question about it, or we were going to be talking about it again, because she really liked working on the story. Unfortunately, sad to say the story is not done. I think that I left off with like maybe 5 or 6 chapters left to go in it. But for whatever reason, life just got in the way. Just things happened. College took off for me. Work took off, working at the schools, and all that kind of stuff. And things just didn't go anywhere. And Naomi and I kind of fell out of contact for a while. It was a sad state of affairs. I just recently got back in touch with her. And sadly, Naomi says that she is kind of not doing any more art right now. She might come back to it, but right now she's not. Which makes me a little sad, because not just because it means that we probably won't do as much for the Magic fan anymore, but also because she's just a talented artist, and you can go check out her DeviantArt page to see some of her work. She actually has 2 DeviantArt accounts, and I'll link both of those in the description so you can see her different kinds of art that she does. Very talented young lady. And for those of my German fans out there, last I checked, Naomi lived in Germany, so hey, hail to the fatherland, I guess. Whatever the case, though, it was a fun story to work on, mostly just a comedy. It wasn't like Metamorphosis, where with Metamorphosis there might have been a few funny moments thrown in, but mostly it was a character study and a character dive, and kind of a study of psychology and about relationships and stuff like that. With Beware the Magic Fan, it was primarily a comedy. We were kind of poking fun at the Magic Girl genre and kind of having fun with it. We added some more dramatic elements. Like, we had this bit where this young boy happens to come across one of the weapons and becomes a magical warrior himself. But because he's so young, he doesn't understand what it is to be a superhero. Like, he feels like being a superhero just means you do the right thing. But he comes across one of the villains, and one of the villains manipulates the boy into believing that she's the good guy, and she's saying, I'm the good guy. You need to join up with me, and I'll teach you how to use your weapon properly. And he's thinking, oh, wow, like, if you're really a superhero, then that must mean I got to do what you say if I want to be a superhero. It's kind of, we had some fun with some very dramatic ideas. Just all in all, a very fun project to work on. And at some point, I probably will finish it up. I need to sit down, reread it again, and figure out how I want to wrap up the story. Because that's one of my biggest problems. That was always one of my biggest weaknesses in writing stories. That was one of my biggest weaknesses, was coming up with how I reach the ending. I may have an ending in mind, but I don't always know the process by which I reach that ending, which kind of stinks. What I really should do is plot out how I want the story to go beforehand, and then write it then. But the problem is I always feel like I'm spoiling the story for myself. Isn't that a bit weird? It's almost like, man, I can't wait to finish up the story. I better plan out everything I want to happen. And then once I plan everything out, I kind of go, huh. Now I'm no longer interested, because now I know how everything happens, and it's kind of spoiled for me. It's a weird setup, but Beware the Magic Fan was a creative story. If you want to read it, the link to it is in the description below. If you'd like to check out Naomi's work and see what else she's drawn besides that, you can check it out in the 2 links below, because she does have 2 DeviantArt accounts. And with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was kind of short and quick, but it just wanted to share this story with you guys. Kind of a creative little funny blurb there. Anyway, tune in tomorrow when we go over the new For Honor season release, and we'll talk about it then. And until next time, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care.